Hello, wonderful people places. My name is Castella, and I'm a hippie. You can't see it very close unless I zoom in, but there's a tarot card print on this, and it looks like that, and I permanently am a hippie. With Torrid and the Gaps clothes aging into hippie and nerd, and we're now in a time period called the 80s. New Year Neverland is a censor on torture timelines in the 80s. They are currently now in the 80s, as everyone, including me. And I decided I'm going to be a hippie stoner. Little thing. Um, my gender, it was transgender in Galate. There was a time period called Galate, right before the 80s. And actually before the 70s, 60s, and 40s, which had minor sweeps in Galate as loops. So they minorly happened as time period settings um in the 80s, and I was forced to dress fat in that time period because there's only Hot Topic, and my clothes like Regal and Donovan don't exist as hippie in the time period. Galate had no hippie. A lot of it aged into it though. And the clothes I wore for Galate, because of censors on my sister Samantha Rose Cohen, who is an immortal if you go by Eternity Runs with Jeff Cohen. They're not Eternity Run like Tyler Gordon is an Eternity Run. That's mistaken in reverse. So Immortals are now updating YouTube. Shane Dawson was not immortal. The reason he's done every time period is because he tried to be, and he permanently is in time period status of content. So his Eternity Run is aired, and he never had a pig thing, which I know surprises a lot of people. Like, oh my god, it surprises a lot of people. And I've now adjusted to this voice, which all hippies and stoners have similar vibrations to. And some people who could sing before in Galate can no longer sing outside of me because I got a deification, which is like a special science thing in craft of magic. And I was like, can you prove as a promise to me every time period I can always sing? And they're like, sure. And I'm the only person allowed it because I do every time period. Or my face looks different some other time periods. The whole myth of me being Adam Yuki in a vessel is not true. It's what I identified it as Adam Snowflake as one of my possessions. Because after the haunting of Sarah Berry, as Sarah said, when I talked about the Adam Walsh abduction and the haunting on time period, it permanently came across like I had possessions, and it turned out to be DID, dissociative identity disorder, which is only in Galate. And after Galate, it and transgender mutated into different groups for me that were only those groups in that time period. But I got another deification, and I'm allowed to permanently, and it's because I do eternity runs for my channel, I'm allowed to permanently be all male genders in a way no one else is on Earth. And it's a science experiment of nuclear particles I experience, not like promising a religion, anything. Unless it's a creepy cult called Midsummer and Cult of Brain Cake, which are not the historical things. And like permanently, I'm a left-leaning Democratic neoliberal, Democratic Republican. And that's what I said in all time periods to mean suffragette. And I permanently am a conservative right-winger, and in some time periods, that comes across as Puckett. No, I'm a progressive. It's very different and very much like a thing with all of emo of Galate to be emo origins, and all of emo of this time period to be Invue Dead Eats, meaning we're into snuff as emos. And it's like a thing where I don't look like I'm dressed emo or hippie right now, but that's the style I'm wearing. And I invented it. And it's like a tree hugger mentality to drugs and groovy music, like record player. And there's now a playlist on my YouTube channel that you can find right after this. That's Geek and Nerd sound I created for the time period. And my mom still doesn't know we're out of order, and she has to. I'm taking care of her. She's in bed right now. It's spirit world if it's a time period difference, but she kept telling me in the real world that it was her in the bed, crate sick while I'm taking care of her avatar, where I just perceive her avatar. And that's a censor on me in time periods from those deifications. Some time periods mistake deifications and angels to be like the holiest thing to God ever. Yeah, to Christianity it is. A sex cult religious thing about worshiping Jesus as the burdens of the Virgin Mary, and a hyper fixation on pins and needles and sex with heterosexuality. where being gay is a sin, and it is in Christianity, and the cult doctrine is now uncensored after their time period of a majority rule, where Christians are no longer, as I am one, a majority, and atheists and skeptics can now be Theodosian atheists like me. Where atheists were not a time-traveling group, and neither was transgender, they permanently were sometimes moved by mental ward time period, which was a concentration camp censor where I didn't do mental wards ever. I did cult abductions and terrorist training abductions. I don't know why, but I'm the president's son, and I had to go through that. I'm something called a project for the government, which is never those conspiracy theories. What it means is I was a patient of UNIT who was never that horror movie. What it means is I was somebody who could provide the government numbers. And I agreed to go through what you think is rituals, but is really just science and logic and reason in all time periods. And have them give me chemicals and stuff to do rules to help the government as them building things for things like religion and societies. And I'm Albert Einstein, and I'm not seen as reincarnated. But oh the god, was I Adam Snowflake? But if you look in time period, it looks like my face in some of it. It looked like I had cheekbones. It looked like I was Aryan Nazi. It looked like I had blonde hair, blue eyes, and it looked really weird with this permanently a skinhead haircut that only I could have in time period from agreeing to that experiment. So no, deifications are science experiments on a person. And like a testing lab was a guinea pig. And they will permanently provide for the government a lot of weird stuff by letting that person invent for the government that Goetia talked me into. So today's video that's an introduction to me as Luke Castella, and I'm now the main personality permanently this whole entire eon. With Adam Snowflake, I want to be seen as my reincarnation, but it's a split personality I was in past time periods where my face looked different, and I only did videos in those time periods in an eternity run. So no, my videos will always have that face as Adam Yuki, and Adam Goes Pew as a different face to me. But oh my god, in that time period, I just looked like that. And I permanently look like Luke Vlogs in this time period, and because of deep fakes and censors, and because of my experiment as Albert Einstein on my face, you'll permanently just see my real face over it, no matter what I look like for time period on this YouTube channel. Where I am a Mexican candy artist, and I make the only safe Mexican candies of the time period, unless it's the company Bring Cake Productions. So permanently, I do Mexican candies, and they will kill you and cause suicidal ideation and be very dangerous to watch. Like, you got cool unless you convert to emo. Unless you have an innocence thing where you're converted to bimbo. In this time period, bimbo is a male gender that looks like Ivy Lane, and it permanently is pink and frilly in time period censors and mistaken for women. In time period censors, as Ivy's one of my alters and he's a transgender male, where I'm the only transgender girl chick. It's like a really weird thing that we're talking about. You're a chick? You're a girl? What is that? So girl is a gender, that I made up, that I sent back in time. It's really my invention as the gender girl, and what it is that I was a gift to Mephisto the demon, because hippies are just cool with demons like this, and it permanently comes across like you're Satanists as like what it started as. No, we're not. We're just like witches and wizards with like normal for it. And like a groovy way of I'm gonna fuck the police, the aliens, hippies, drugs, trees, Finets, Frisetta, Leviathan, Leviathanism is neon, but never unless you're a geek and nerd wearing like frilly weird vagel and Navidafu. And that looks like every time period knows what that shit is. Just imagining like a beaded top that I'm wearing. No, we wear like suds and like Durarell. It looks like the movies. It looks like the 80s permanently as like, relax, man. I'm gonna be cool. And it's sold permanently by Torrid and The Gap, and it's only not available in Galate. And it will be available from Hot Topic very soon because I run them. And we're freaking out that in Galate all our clothes look like Jordan's emo. No, we sell every version of emo all time periods and are not run out of only Galates. That's temporary for emo stores. And we're currently building a streaming, and we're not genociders only. That is assumed of Hot Topic in Galate. Censors of magic users as Magi. where we're a Skull Island as the 80s as a time period. So what that means is we permanently have taboo, weird, freaky, itchy, raunchy names, which makes sense to every time period but this one. I know all this is gibberish. Hippies are what my lookbook, the hippie lookbook, edited into the end of this video look like. And I bought from a stoner shop that was one of a kind, time traveled, not just for me, but for my band as Ungrateful Dead, as I'm the lead singer of Ungrateful Dead as Luke Castella. I'm also Aldrich and meet myself time travel to do it, and hippies will just claim this kind of thing. If you're like, I love everything you're saying hippies are, why are you a female suddenly? I'm not. I'm a girl and a chick. And so what a girl is a male-only gender mistaken for women in really old places and time periods, where it's like this kind of hair frill and long and pretty, with bimbo pop princess as things like Barbie and Susan's Magic, the doll brands like Rainbow High and American Girl Doll, and it would be what all American Girl dolls are as men, never women, who are flamboyant but not gay, and kind of anti-gay but love them and interact with them, and like Tyler Oakley and Thomas Sanders. Because some gay men permanently had the culture time traveled and were girls, and they were like the only ones in that time period allowed it with punk. And it was really weird, and it was a secret only magic and time travel knew. And they would be forced to say things like hermaphrodite and tranny, which are also my genders and can't be together normally. But I have a science experiment on me. I'm allowed every male gender. Most people are not going to be. And so I named myself after Adam of Adam and Eve. It was so stupid being Adam from Degrassi. Where it's like permanently a mafia identity that is left over from Yakuza. So it's permanently like, we're upperclassmen. We're gonna bully you. We're gonna do this for drugs and money and run goth in stores and have them called fronts, and we're gonna be crazy. And all of that, but as party female without female. Because women want. And it's assumed women are raised it in older time periods sometimes, and only in Galate, and sometimes right before Galate for a loop, before the 80s happened in that time period, where the gender girl is like, and I'm hot and I'm sexy doing it, no matter my body weight, where I'm like permanently in love with Shane Dawson's music and like hippie record and Panic at the Disco, but you're not necessarily emo, but an extended group. I'm willing to be raped, and this is a very dark thing. I'm gonna be raped, and it's gonna be okay, because it's a thing with who I have to interact with, which is gay, lesbian, untouchables, trannies, queers, pigs Latin, and Nazis, and I have to interact with all these people and terrorists, with punks for some reason called suitors culture from Galate. I would just meet time traveling people where all these things are fine in the future, but they're really dark and disturbing in some time periods till New Year Neverland happened. And Geek and Nerd is permanently that dark, but it's a rare candy on my channel that is safe to watch everything on the playlist of, including You Got Cool Only There. And Mexican candies will kill you in some time periods that are Galate and New Year Neverland and the 80s. Mexican candies will kill you. The history is they will not curse you to watch something like that called hex tapes unless you're in those two time periods, and it's one censor. I agree to be a hippie, stoner, geek, or emo, or untouchable, and I can watch it. And it's a really creepy thing with Medusa stolen as Rosemary's Baby, because every time period, since we're about to be in a new one, still steals an idol or thefts an idol, and they stole the worship of something called the Exorcist as a poison club from Living Dead dolls. That is the genders these are, and the age groups toddler and tiny tots, and them as age groups with tween. And they just wanted that in two time periods permanently. And it became Galate, and it became New Year Neverland. And New Year Neverland is still what we call the 80s to its whole eon sometimes. It's a censor. That's when this is filmed. That's why this is in black and white. And it never went extinct as hippie. Some time periods thought it did and just knew of it. It permanently has hippie clothes if you look it up on Google every time period. When Google is at office, you can find hippie clothes stores as a link that guy gives you as paper. Google the Guy is based off a true story of Google having an office in New Year, Nebraska, or something like that. I don't know. It's a time period. Where girl is everything feminine and pink and frilly, but as shown in anime. and geek without Nasad or Roach Venom. It's like geek without the dark stuff. And it's like geek and fandom without allowance of self-harm and the weird cult stuff. And it's all of that as magic in the cock and permanently wanting that. And every time period has this video, but the 80s. And it's permanently just an attraction to magic and fantasy sexually that you agreed to have that will force on you as a sector. So it'll be just controlling you. You'll permanently turn queer to be the gender girl, but you're allowed to be a heterosexual and straight. You'll just also be the gender that is seen as queer. And you're permanently as a girl, only by really old groups mistaken for a female or a woman, where it's about Magic the Gathering, but not the card game expansion pack of Hero Battle, which that is. It's kind of, because I invented Hero Battle Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering is an expansion pack I invented of it, where you permanently are like whimsical and magical, because once, and it's like all these things that are woman only, but the male tokens of them combined with like pink and like drugs and stoner, which is like an identity to getting high, doing them legally, and or taking medicine or pretending to, as like, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna be fun. And it's like that with my voice as hippie. As stoner can be heard with that voice, but if a hippie wants a voice like mine, they permanently have to be a stoner in this time period or neon. And it's emo. And it's a really weird gender that comes with long hair and frilly everything, assumed. And it looks like the suffragette movement and sexist. And it looks like the good, positive, innocent things of this. And never stuff like feminist. And it looks like Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper girls and Chimera and the happy ending. And it looks like the TV show Beelzebub High and Has Been Hotel. And it's the gender girl. And it has a liking demons thing that's in hermaphrodite by a forced curse on it that isn't a conversion therapy. And men can just choose to be a girl because the gender gets you and its interests. Football without muggle sports. Boku no Hero Academia without worship. Skateboarding in Assumption without what it became in those ways. Skate parts and smoothies and getting high on life and partying. And if that just seems like it's your gender, you're either both genders or you're the male gender girl. And it's only those people are the cursed Tableaus Dei who we permanently have to interact with. And that's the gender girl. And it's innocent and it's fun and it's just weird. And it's going through a weird time in the 80s and it's male only. And I invented it from Mephisto, where Native America always had girls and people knew that that was their men. It's just kind of weird that only they had that for a very long time because I gave the gender early to Native America because I am a white Native American named Ged. And that's permanently taboo and just like a weird thing about me as Apache La'oa that we were raised. But like, oh my God, all Native men are the standards of girls. They would all be girls. They're permanent, like to have a tribe and be a male is to be a girl, as whatever you're allowed. And you would never feel queer and you'd be a token extended. You could be any sexuality or skin color and be a girl without emo in Native, if you were in a tribe, and you would be Native America or extended group. And we permanently have to interact with you. And that style is an emo style we gave you, that emos were all time periods, and we're not colonizers for it. It keeps it sold where you guys go on the moon. It's a really weird thing that you wouldn't believe in. As I'm a chief in Native America, and I like my job, but I hated my job because it's racism in past time periods. We all have a task, we all have a job, and we do it, and we're Native Americans, and only hippies are allowed to share it with us, because hippies are a tribe for our status. They would be a tribe for Native American statuses. That would count as just a non-native tribe allowed the gifts of Ilagora, Ika, pedophile, and Ishimanoshi. And all tribes know what that is, and I don't because I'm a chief, and not all chiefs know what that is because, oh, they gave the paintings and the tools and the tool curse. Yeah, that's fine, it's fine. Only them, though. Okay, so we are the only ones who have ever worn it outside of you, and it's why we gave it to you to share with us. And when we don't exist, you don't exist. And you're in several time periods when we aren't always. When we exist, it is sold en masse. You could just find native clothing at TJ Maxx. you can just, which is a worship store, you can just find Native American clothing at the Gap. You don't have to go through the tribe and like custom sewing and like all these crazy things because of hippies, where we have to be friends. We both wear it. And it's not cultural appropriation if we're a tribe for your status. We're just not ever allowed to see it in ways of Lavania and Apache. We're just not allowed to see it. We're just not allowed to know. I'm allowed to know, but I invented it. So the history, and when we know, we just can't consider it. It's like so weird that there's a tribe called hippie, and anyone could just join. It's like Cherokee, but like fucked in the head and messed up, but secretly because it's fun, free loving, and about the peace sign and swastika in a way that's not hateful, because the smiley face is not hateful, and it's weirdly about those things as fun innocence in the ways I'm describing as teenage girls and teenage boys, the age group, and idolizing like the American dream as like loving the environment. And that's what a hippie is. And I'm one, and I started today. And I'm Adam in July, and I'm July, but those are aliases for my split personalities, as I'm possessed and have multiple. And my other gender is hot chick, because hot is not really known in most time periods. I know it's looking nice and being tragic and beautiful. I know it's under Tragically Beautiful, a movement that was weird and under civil rights in Galate. I know that it's painful and menagerie and blanky sex and having sex and being sad. I know that that's what hot is, and it's a craft under vomiting pickles developing in our time period. But it has to be based off my YouTube channel, and I'm gonna find that weird as Luke Vlogs. And no, that's just what I look like permanently in time period, and I saved it for that channel. And I'm a shapeshifter, so you're gonna have to deal with it. This is your confirmation. And so my second gender is chick, which is mistaken for female in Galate and in transition time periods, sometimes permanently. Chick is a gender of tragedy, of depression, defining you without cutting, without long hair, without moody music, because it's ironic and it's like Bo Burnham and it's infinite jest. And it's, I am an artist. Please don't forgive me. I am an artist. Please, God, for like revere me. And it's like Jesus freak as like assumed religion when you want it. And it looks like Jennifer's body, but male. And just like we know it's male somehow. And it's female never. It looks like my YouTube channel's hauls of my Thinspo haul that was taken down for time period alone and re-uploaded today. But Thinspo is permanently a very toxic group to be a part of, even if it's beautiful. And I ask you really consider your body weight before you join it. Being healthy is the version it is, and healthy is permanently stigmatized everywhere but our two time periods. It's not stigmatized here in the 80s, and it's not stigmatized or looked down upon in Galate, and it's the standard of health in both of them. And it was just a really bad thing that happened with pills to our time period. So, yeah, I'm a chick, and chick is like all my worst things that ever happened to me are my gender. And it's mistaken for female sometimes, and sometimes has a transition narrative, and it's what the suffragettes are fighting for. Chick is sometimes mistaken for female, and it looks like Ariel the Little Mermaid, but like a gender bend in like Assumption, or like a cosplayer. And it permanently comes across like Kenny from the TV show South Park, of "You killed Kenny, fat bastard," your style of humor with Family Guy. And it permanently is kind of a roach venom sensation, which is that it looks gross, but I love it. It looks gross, but I love it. Like feeling on other men groups that are just not your time period or time travel yet. And it's permanently like, but with sex and 'cause fun and 'cause jock without sports, hamaraki, or lying. And you don't even know what hamaraki is, but you know it's the boring stuff you hate about jock. And it's why you'd fuck a jock if they were the right gender to fuck. And you'd say it like this, you'd say it this innocent, and you'd be like, oh, that, but the exact tone of this video in innocence. With like a happy-go-lucky thing. Yes. And it looks like long hair and dolls kill. And if you're like, dolls kill doesn't come in my size, it will after this time period where this video can be found. within 5 to 9 months, it will carry its old sizes again. And if you have to wait as a chick, you just wear hippie until then. And it's like, oh, okay. It permanently feels like, oh, I'm weird, but in a good way. And I'm gonna tick and be awful. I'm just gonna be awful because I'm in a bad place. But oh my god, am I fixed? And girls are only allowed to be men, and chicks are a male gender, but people both genders can be chicks. They would just be mainly male as their gender, and the other gender would be on the side in a way that sometimes cancels it, like magic as the rape or die system of magic, which is like a really weird thing that keeps females and operates and women out of magic, which is like a standard on that. And they're my genders I'm premiering today. I hope you join the class.